bad thing, no, and we still want to keep those cultures and we want to make them grow. And but isn't there a problem that we keep distracting each other consistently always? So is there a measurement that we need to, like, or is it's not even, you don't even have to complicate it so much. It's just more the sense of, like, how are we going to move each other forward instead of saying this guy's a piece of shit. Okay, this guy has an opinion and I don't like his opinion. Okay, so why don't I just present my opinion, which is better? We work together to, like, would be amazing, right? But no, we're still gonna bicker. I'm not saying I would still want my identity, and I'm sure all the 54 countries. But instead of saying you're a piece of shit, say, you know what, I don't agree with you, but this is my idea, and the best idea wins, right?
Jeffrey, if I may, I mean that's all nice and all, but unfortunately for most of us, we have to live in the real world where idealism is not actually a good survival strategy. The thing is, we do deal with each other depending on what we need from each other. It's just that at this particular moment in history, like America, for example, you say though they brought together so many different people. I think every single nationality in this world is represented in America. But that one, people had to come there and fall under a certain cultural dispensation, one or two. There wasn't all these 54 different, or there wasn't like 42 different cultures in the way it is in Kenya. It because the way a nation, because also what we are looking, if you look at the American Civil War, the amount of need to still refine that because we still, learned so much, and I've met people who basically food that trumps everything else. Kids are starving. Oh, I have to play nice while myself I'm starving. Oh, I have to play nice. No, no, no. It doesn't. 100,000. That's what they're gonna do, and they get what they want. The problem we have is that that kind of person shillings in the next 4 years. What am I going to do to make sure these guys are not in this position again? So that also means that you have to be willing to put your position in jeopardy, because people have handouts to all this social welfare, blah blah. All those are bribes. So, oh, we want free college, oh, we want free medical. Education, which was called free education, but that thing is free. The government was paying for it from our taxes.
And
But
what are
now the
they?
government
And what are they teaching you?
to do what for their children. Now they want to be the parent of your children. Currently in Kenyan schools, the parents have to pay people. It will take years. These people think they're going to protest and minds open one by one. They handle my business. That's why I keep telling Jay, how we are going to win this. How you do? You have No clue. You don't have
those who are
people. Most people are just there to be led. Immediately, they already have people in power who grown ass men dressed in women do clothes and makeup and telling us, oh, those poor people are votes and customers. If they are
actually the stupidity.
sorry for that repetition. Hopeless cars. You'll buy a brand new one 3 months down. No, you have to Now, when America had fallen away, they've created this underclass of perennial parasites. They're always sucking from the system. 1, 2 generations. I actually watched a documentary where there are 3 generations of motherfuckers who've been on food stamps. They are fat as fuck. They're sitting there. One of them has 5 kids because it was going to improve her situation in terms of the child care. So the culture moved away from building shit to now we're just going to give you, once you take away the problem of food from a human being and shelter, this is basically a useless human being. If they don't have to work for that, they're not going to be motivated. Part of the reason we build so much shit is what we use free shit as they are taking everything from you. So that's unfortunately that's where we are, even in so many parts in the world. We're just worse off because we never created the fat to eat off. Just
And I think one of the problems is also is that governments aren't organized, and we're not always going to get these Elon Musk coming out in the world to organize for us, right? Obviously, he's organizing for his own businesses and making things, but government.
I just comes in and said, oh, then now those little, so they come in because you've already built something. That's how America became great. Cottage industry.
Well, it's an investment, right? If the government sees a
Yes,
good
yeah,
investment,
but you are asking the wrong people to invest in you. They've never invested in anything themselves. They're
well,
politicians.
and that's the problem, and that's one of the problems in the system that
Yes.
we have, that we replace politicians every 8 to 10 years. So that means that every 8 to 10 years, the organization is going to change. So if it changes every 8 to 10 years, then it's like, okay, we're moving forward, but we're still losing.
Training his kid to become an army guy. doing is they're dropping standards for you plebs. They're this giant manufacturing plant. And the feminism. You find in all corporates now, you create new products. They're doing jack all because meritocracy has been removed before our eyes are the ones that have caused this. And we actually this human tumor called Soros to come. So that they can have a taste of the money, so they can have access.
Right? That's the distraction that's always going to come. So how do you stop wasting your
I don't
time
think
with these?
that is a deliberate act to blunt. You can see in the US, if you can even look at this last election, I use TikTok loosely because a lot of kids have gravitated there, and you can actually hear their thoughts now very proudly out there. That the Democratic Party took on.
You already know that's a distraction, and you know that's not moving forward, right? It's not moving forward like that.
Yes.
You know, it's a
So all this I'm actually lessening myself. I'm saying
I'm
you're a dumbass,
it's an
but you want
obvious
respect. Or you
distraction.
must respect me. No, I don't have to.
Unajua saa zile Ruto alinotice Uhuru ame intersectionality, the intersectional issues. These things, they don't have any impact in Africa. Because in Kenya, everyone is black, so we don't need DEI. If you ask one of my uncles, pretty learned, went to university, you ask him what LGBTQ is, he's not able to explain. If you try to explain to him, his head explodes. He can't imagine somebody preferring the reverse gear to the forward gear. He can't imagine any of those issues. He can't. I've tried, like, because he was asking me, oh, this person I heard they are doing this project and people are criticizing. What is it about? So I tried to explain. There's this thing called this. He couldn't. So those issues, they are commercial issues for Kenyans. Ask any of the activists you see around.
See, that's the problem right there. You said the word commercial issues. You know, so that's the issues
Yes.
that you want you to think about. So instead of thinking about the issues, the commercial issues, why don't you think about the real issues? You know, because those are
Yes.
those
No,
are the
I'm making the point. Let me make the point. So the fact that these distractions that come from the West and they have such an impact because of the amount of money. You saw that if you read local press, you saw that Ford Foundation spends upwards of 100 million shillings, not 100 million, 500 million shillings in this region for different things, activism and all that. And I took some time to look at some of the cases that have been funded. And I realized that majority of these people are not in it for the whatever it is that is being pushed. It's just a money grab. It's just another thing to make money. So my point, what I'm coming to is the distractions will always exist if there is somebody with more economic power than you and has different intentions. The point that is going to help Africa is not concentrating on those distractions. It's actually looking at the basic facts of economics. If you produce less, you are more dependent. Those are the facts. That is Adam Smith called it the invisible hand of the market. This other idiot from the 40s, Keynes, he tries to explain it in a theory of labor, but the truth of the matter is the producers get to talk more than the consumers.
exactly
Because it is harder to produce. Less people dependent on some of this the system and have to give something back. Because an empowered person economic distractions, we must go to the point of explains why an Indian with a factory in Nairobi the aspect of economic empowerment, where the Mali guy, he appointed a judge, companies in Kenya, sorry, in Africa. Then we value the mined materials together, then we do the revenue share. So what these guys, Barrick Gold, will do, they call the president, they call his son and other people. Then these idiots take 5%, $1 million or $2 million to their own coffers. Benefiting from a politician, you are benefiting from an unfair dispensation. For you to have what you need to move forward, you must make a sacrifice. It's affecting America, it's affecting Africa, everybody. Just aspect of sacrificing. The Chinese, despite being called a command economy, dictatorship, from outside. So the Chinese have realized economic empowerment is the key. I talk to Chinese businessmen online. I mean, tech and weird stuff. So I talk to a lot of Chinese people. I notice the level of empowerment they have and the level of backing their government gives them. Ever try to con a Chinese of their money, they'll arrest a Kenyan in China and keep him until you pay back. They don't fuck around. They don't waste their time on discussing distractions. They know America wants us to do this to TikTok. It's a distraction. It's to get us away from the target we have for social media. So they are ignoring. They are treating it as a sideshow, the way it should be. The level of empowerment at an average Chinese, a farmer, right now they have a program of mechanization. They are what are they called? The sector, not sectors. They have a name for their counties. Some of the counties, there is a ban on manual agriculture because it is wastage. They are saying we are not going to allow 100 people to use our country. This is the difference with communism, and I don't really support communism because it's sort of a pretense. But the advantage they have in that they can call that power, and they know the quantity what 100 people can produce, and they say no. We are not going to agree that 100 people will be on 2 acres trying to acre living. You get out of here. Leave 5 people. Rest of you go get other places there. Reclaim desert. Reclaim swamps. Do what you need to do. The Chinese have less landmass than most countries, and there's over almost 2 billion people on there. But what are they doing? They are ensuring that they empower that if you go to the level of a normal Chinese, you need to go on YouTube and follow some of these crazy British guys who are just going on. They are going across China, man, like gangster, hitchhiking. They get arrested all the time until they realize it's actually not an arrest. You are not allowed to walk on highways in China. You're supposed to go to get a bus, get a taxi. The government has subsidized transport. It costs $4 to take a bullet train from, I don't know, what is it called, Guangzhou to Beijing. It costs around $5. So the government does give you they have not given them an option to hitchhike. So that's when they get arrested, they realize, oh, I thought I was going to be taken to a gulag, but these guys are taking me to a place I can't get a bus. Because the Chinese have realized, how did they break the Soviet Union? The US looked, so the Soviet Union lacked food. They were very good. The government was spending all the money on creating weapons, nuclear weapons, trying to go to the moon when there's nothing there, trying to develop space technology. Of course, Russia is the most advanced nation in space technology. But guess what? They didn't have wheat. So what happened? People went to Gorbachev, to Yeltsin. They convinced them, hey, we'll give you guys this. What happened? In 1 year, Soviet Union was down because of lack of resources to the people. So the Chinese are thinking ahead. They know they can't run a North Korea because that is what an authoritarian government does when it wants to really entrench itself. You create the cult of an individual and you follow it through with indoctrination. But the Chinese are more interested in making money and making people comfortable. So they've done it. And that is a communist state with no freedom of the press, so you can't really grow a media industry. They lack a lot of the core industries that we see in the West, in Africa, everywhere, don't actually function well in China. In China, you can't just open a blog like Kibe and start prattling. You need to get licenses, you need to do all that stuff. And once you become big, you must store the line and all that. But all these other things and the linkages that those businesses form, they are available to us. So that should be our emphasis on economic empowerment, because economic empowerment allows knowledge to flow. If you look at it from the perspective of activists, it's not going to work, because activists, it's a job, being an activist. I have many examples of the wrong approach to activism. There's a guy, there was a position offered, one of the biggest wildlife funds in the world. They said they are looking for an influencer in Kenya to influence and fight for the rights of the environment, the trees and all that. Guess what? A politician rebranded himself. He now wears green clothes and gave himself the job. No Kenyan knows him. He's on TV all the time, but he's very forgettable because he's not a real celebrity. The job was meant to be for a celebrity who is eloquent, knows how to fight for rights. I would have given it to someone like Kibe. You dress up in those green combats and still talk shit about planting trees, and did that get impact? But the NGOs, they're safe areas. They try to run away from controversy to hide the fact that they are hogging a lot of millions for themselves on a personal level. Most of these activists actually spend the wife, who's an American, who came here as those students who come here to go to slums and treat people's wounds. She married the guy. She was like, this guy is loaded with Bill Gates money. So it's created a fake environment and a fake narrative that this is how we are going to rescue Africa.
And maybe
For your information, I don't think Africa needs rescuing,
And maybe
first
one
of
of the
all.
things too, though, is one of the problems is tradition. You know, if we keep pushing tradition, and if tradition was bad, and you keep pushing it forward, then you're always going to get bad tradition going forward, right? So I guess one of the things that's new about the Americas
Yeah.
is we're throwing each other all together, and it's still new, you know. But when you have like
Unfortunately, I
tradition,
disagree with that. The element of the kind of dynamic that's going on right now in the West is more insidious. Let me tell you, the economic empowerment is what is shielding the West from actually facing the repercussions of some of their decision making. You see, you have a company like Boeing. Boeing is a huge company. Market capitalization is out of this world. But guess what? They left bolts loose in doors for planes that were carrying people. What happened? They left things loose because they decided that they are going to do a forced empowerment. Because this women empowerment thing is actually a forced empowerment. Because empowerment doesn't occur because there is a law. It occurs because the people involved decide. So you have these ladies who didn't do well in engineering class. They didn't do as well as the men. These are facts that I've researched. But they insisted that they must have a whole department of 24 engineers who are ladies. Some of the work that involves the assembling a plane is extremely tedious, extremely draining physically. Some of the women, I looked at them, they don't look physically fit. Unfortunately, if you're in the industry of engineering and you're involved with holding spanners and all that, even if you're using machines, the element of physical fitness will affect you.
but
So I look at it and say, this is forced.
exactly,
Boeing
it
as a
has a
company
problem that
does
exists.
so many other nice things,
Yeah,
that
because
they don't need the DEI nonsense,
yeah,
but they have imposed it upon themselves, and it is watering down their product.
but it's
At the
watering
end
down
of
their
the day,
product.
I'm
But they
not
have a
after
product.
saying
They have a
yes,
product. We don't have a product in
exactly.
Canada.
That's what I'm
We don't have
saying
a
for
product either.
Africa.
In Canada, we don't have a product either. But the United States, they have a product. You know, so
Yes, that is my point exactly.
yeah,
Like those guys can make as many blunders as they want. Why? They already did the hard work of building the structure.
exactly. And then everybody else is going to copy, and that's okay because that's how we're going to move things forward. But we still need people with ideas to really, you know, there's individuals where I think government should invest in who could put these ideas together, because at the end of the day, who is the real people who are imagining these things, right? And the artist is the person with the imagination who then
Yes,
triggers the engineer to want to build something, you know. But where's this coming from?
exactly.
Where is this coming from? And the majority of the time it's coming from, in my existence on this planet, it's from the United
Yeah.
States. They're the ones who are investing in entrepreneurship. They're the ones who are investing in these things, and they're also, you know,
Actually, the market,
maybe one of our
if
and maybe one of the problems with Europe and Africa and the other side of the world, maybe one of the problems is the
yeah.
tradition. Tradition is holding back. And I'm not saying tradition is bad. No, tradition is not bad. But we need to also
Actually, I disagree on the fact
move
that
forward.
tradition is holding back. But my sort of categorization not be really talk about it as tradition. There's the implication of culture, and there is the other aspect of day-to-day living, which is a different thing. In Africa, there is culture that has developed. We are not talking, the main problem we have is actually not even what we call retrogressive cultures, because already, even if you go amongst the Maasai who used to practice FGM, it's now down to almost 1% because of information, access to information. The biggest issue we have in Africa is that people have developed a different culture